Okay guys, first of all, I want to apologize for the long wait for this video. I know it's been a long time coming and we were just waiting for these cases to come back, but I swear I found all these parts ready to go, ready for this rebuild video. Now, we finally got our cases back from Ryan over at Crank Pipes, and I guarantee you guys it was well worth the wait. So this case has been boarded out and case matched for our 70cc Gila kit. Now, when you install a Gila kit on a ZA50, some of the issues that you end up having is, I'm not sure if you guys can tell, but the existing or the original material is really thin on this side. So when you install your gasket, that could be like a blowout area. So what Ryan does, he goes ahead and adds extra material on the sides, which gives this thing strength and obviously a larger surface area, a larger seal. So really happy how this thing came out, and I'm ready to rebuild this thing. So come with me and I'll show you guys an overall what you need to rebuild the ZA50 bottom end. Alright, so we're going to give you guys a bit of a list on what you need exactly to rebuild your ZA50. Now, we will not be using the traditional 3-piece bearing. We're actually going to go with the single-piece bearings. So these are the Suzuki and a Kawasaki bearing. So here is a list on the bearings and seals that you're going to need to do a complete ZA50 rebuild. Obviously, we're going to need some case gaskets. You're going to need your new 1-piece bearings and a performance crankshaft. So let's get these cases out and install these bearings. Okay, now we're going to move on to the right side case half, and I'm going to be installing this B810 shaft bearing. Again, I don't have a press, so I'm going to be using like a bolt and another washer with a nut just to pull this thing in. So here you go. There. Okay. And we'll just pull this thing right in. Seems to be going in pretty straight, so we'll keep doing that. And if you bottom out, just add washers and add a washer to the top side till it just bottoms out right there. Okay, we'll start off by putting this first bottom bearing on, and we'll heat up the case with a torch for like 60 seconds. Get your bearing. This one's a snap ring. Boom. Okay, now we're going to install the crankshaft bearing, and pretty much the same process. We're going to heat it up for about 60 seconds and then install the bearing. Grab our bearing. Alright guys, so the case is properly heated and you put in the bearing, and for some reason it gets stuck not all the way in. The case is still warm, so it's not a bad idea just to get a socket and then just drive it in the rest of the way. Okay, let's hope this one goes a little bit smoother, but the same deal, 60 seconds, and we'll install that bearing. Now that we got our new bearings installed, we're good to turn these over. And what we'll do is we'll install the crank seals. Now for the crank seals, make sure that when you install these, you lube them up, but don't insert them further than 12 mils. So you have to insert these about 12 millimeters. That's so you don't block this little passageway. That's where the crank bearing gets lubricated. So just make sure you don't go past 12 mils and you should be fine. So lube it up, insert it 12 millimeters deep, and you should be good. Okay, so the first seal I'm going to install is going to be the sprocket seal. I'll put a little bit of oil, and for this one there's no special measurement. it just pretty much put it on flush. So I'm gonna put a little oil, little assembly lube, and press this bad boy in. Okay, so this one took a little bit more love, so I ended up using a little punch on the side of the seal just to get it nice and flush. Just go slow. If you're gonna use a punch, just go slow. You don't want to ruin the seal. But the next seal, there's a little bit of I'm gonna cheat a little bit because I'm gonna be using a dealer tool. But when I first did this, I ended up using a socket, and I just ended up marking the depth gauge. So as you can see, these two marks kind of align. That's because when you install this seal, it needs to be inserted about 12 millimeters in deep, and that is so the oil galleries that lube up that bearing are enclosed. So if you don't have, like I said, a dealer tool, you can either mill the socket down, kind of like Cornpet did when he installed this seal on his ZA50 build, or what I did, I just marked it with the tape, and I went really slow as I started to insert and double check, and I stopped at my tape mark. So there's two methods right there, and let's go ahead and install this right now. Alright, so let me insert this bad boy right now. I'm gonna put some lube on the actual seal to help it slide, and a little bit of lube on the case. Luckily for me though, I do have a dealer tool for this. And that's this guy right here. Okay, so we're gonna install the 1735x7. This is the left side crank seal, and same process, we're gonna lube it up so it slides in a little bit easier with some assembly lube. Go. And we'll get started with our fingers, and then we'll finish it off with the dealer tool. Deep. Okay, now I'm gonna install these. I think this is like the sprocket pinion shaft, and it has like this collar, and this collar goes right here. So just put a little bit of lube, and I'm just gonna press it right in there. And I don't have a press, but I got a vise. So this is my way of pressing this pinion shaft or sprocket shaft back into the case. So I use a inner bearing brace of another of the old crank bearing, and a 17 millimeter socket, and I just press it with the vise. So the way I do that is I go ahead and start coming up on the vise, and then I kind of just give it a bit of a turn just so it goes in straight. Okay, come off. I turn it, come back up on it, come off, and so on and so forth until I get it all the way seated. And there you go. It's nice and pressed in there. Nice and solid, no slap, and that's my way of pressing this in there without a press. Just use the vise. There you go. Different way. Alright guys, now that we have our seals installed, what we gotta do now is we gotta establish the inflow. And to figure that out, what we gotta do is you're gonna measure your crank thickness. So you'll measure from here, right there, and right about here. You measure that with your calipers. Mine are 36 mil. And since we're using the one-piece bearings, what we gotta do is we gotta use like a piece of aluminum like this. You'll zero out your calipers, get the thickness of this aluminum piece, zero it out, and then use it like a depth gauge, right? And you're gonna want to take 4 measurements on the bearing. So right about here, here, and here, and here, and then you'll average those numbers. And so this is what I got. So for this side, that came out to be 32.05 mil, and for the smaller side, or the not deep side, is 4.03. My gasket thickness is 0.22. So we add that up, and we got 36.3 mils of total thickness. So now we're gonna go ahead and subtract our crank thickness. That leaves us with 0.3 mils. And so with that, I'm just gonna go ahead and use 0.1 as my inflow, because I'm gonna go right in the middle. So that leaves us with 0.2 mils. So we need a 0.2 mil shim in order to shim and establish our 0.1 millimeter inflow. So that's pretty much the most difficult part about putting the ZA50 together. Other than that, everything else is pretty easy. So let's go ahead and add a shim, and we'll be able to put this two cases back together. Okay, I've gone ahead and I pulled the crank in with my tusk puller. And if I wanted to verify this, let's say with the dealer tool, I'll just go ahead and turn it upside down, set the tool right, turn it back over. Okay, so now we'll double check our work. We got a 0.1 mil gauge and see what we get here. Perfect. A little bit of drag, but no problem. And 0.05 is the minimum, and that goes in there pretty easily. So we got plenty of inflow, and now we can put the other piece together. So I'm gonna add a little bit of oil to the crank, just to help that that seal slide through. And now I'm gonna go ahead and put some oil on this gasket, and we'll pull this case together with that tusk puller. I'll show you guys that in a minute. So we're almost done putting these two cases together. Just make sure your comm rod is in the correct position so it doesn't get trapped. Got the tusk puller, and I'm using kind of a bolt right here to bring it all even. But it's really hard to record and have all this contraption moving around at the same time. So once I get this squeezed in, I'll take a clip of it. Alright, there you go. All nice and put together, and crank spins freely. Hope this helps.